Hey guys, welcome back to Freestyle Unlimited. Today we are working on the SuperJet. Some of you guys might be saying, hey, I thought the SuperJet was good and running. Well, I took it out the other day. I didn't really film a whole lot because we weren't really doing anything. We were just going out for a casual lake day. And of course, as always, when you don't bring the camera with you, things go wrong. So let's take a look at what happened. Like I said, I went out to the lake the other day. I took the SuperJet out, was ripping on it, absolutely ripping on it. Was going around that big barge at Lake Sammamish coming out, and I was full speeding across the lake. And after a few, different sessions riding this thing, I let a few friends ride it. Zero issues at all whatsoever, and I hopped on it just before we loaded out. And unfortunately, I came around that barge, went to do a full-on pull, and lost about half power. And I thought it was the motor. I was super bummed out. So I was going through it, trying to figure out what was going on. I was taking a look at the jet pump. I was looking at my impeller. And, well, there is something going on with our jet pump. Not at all what I've seen before on these. I know it is an issue, and I do remember thinking about this when I was putting it all together initially with the 701 build, but we had a failure. So let's take a look at what failed here. I've already got the new parts, but unfortunately, because we pulled the jet pump out when I was doing the diag on it, and we will be replacing parts, we are going to have to reshim our pump, which means we have to realign our mid shaft, which unfortunately means we have to pull the motor out. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to pull this out. I'm going to show you guys how to align your mid shaft and pump setup in here, and hopefully we'll get this put back in. I'm going to try and detach the least amount of stuff possible, so we've only got a few connections we have to make to go back together. So that's what we're doing today, but let's take a look at what failed. When I was riding this, like I said, I felt like I lost about half my power, and I didn't know what was going on. The ski was still revving up fine. I had great throttle response. So I figured the motor was okay, but I was thinking, okay, maybe it's low on compression. We're just not getting the bottom end that we need out of it. But my concerns were not really super supported by how the motor was acting. So I was definitely more suspect of the jet pump. We checked the impeller. The impeller looked clean, but it wasn't until I got it on the trailer, got it home, and took a closer look at it that we figured out what happened. So for those of you that are not familiar, this is your steering nozzle and what's called your reduction nozzle. This takes the full size of your pump and impeller housing, like here, and it reduces it down to create higher velocity and higher pressure. And then that comes out your steering nozzle, and then this rotates just like this, and that's how you turn, just like that, on the back of your ski. But it doesn't work when there's a hole in it. So that is what happened. We blew a hole out of the side of our reduction nozzle. This is a stock plastic reduction nozzle, and I remember putting this together thinking, this is a very silly design. I hope this doesn't break, and maybe I manifested it. Who knows? But all I know now is that we are replacing it. So I have gotten a 144 millimeter aluminum reduction nozzle. I believe this is off a Wave Raider. And I have gone ahead and I spent a little bit extra money, and we've got an Ocean Pro aftermarket steering nozzle. So it's called their D nozzle. This is an authentic one. I did find that there is a seller on eBay selling some remanufactured ones that are cheap Chinese metal that are not good quality. This one has an actual blade kind of cut and on this side to cut through the water and divide it up easier on both sides. This is supposed to help with steering and maneuverability, but really the only reason I got it is because it's metal and it looks cool. So I have one on my 550 as well, the exact same thing, and I figured, I found an authentic one online, I figured I'd buy it. The red doesn't really go with our whole color scheme here, but red's my favorite color, so it worked out. But that is what we're replacing today. Obviously, I've already got the pump out of here because that was unfortunately the easiest part. So we are going to go ahead and jump into our motor pull, and I'll walk you guys through exactly what we're gonna do. All right, so as I said before, I'm not really going to go into too much detail about pulling this motor out, because this video I'd really like to keep more towards how to shim your pump and mid shaft together, and then we've already gone over how to shim your motor to the mid shaft. So I'm not really gonna go over that too much, but I'm gonna fast forward through a lot of this. You guys can watch me pull this motor out. I'm just gonna try and get it out in as few pieces as possible, try and get it out as one complete unit. So I'm gonna get right into that, and then we'll take a look at what we need to do to shim our pump. Right at it with it. Come on. Oh, my start-stop switch that I just pulled the wire out of. Things are looking okay here. All our pads are looking pretty good. I'm not really rubbing through anywhere. So, looking pretty darn good. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. So that is 19 minutes and 25 seconds. Minus that 5 seconds of me looking in the hole. So 19 minutes and 20 seconds. So under 20 minutes, I've got the whole motor out. All right, so now that we've got the motor out in under 20 minutes, and take our little coupler off, throw it in there. We are going to need to remove our mid shaft, which mid shaft's still feeling tight. I do need to do the O-rings inside of here, because I noticed when I pulled my drive shaft out, there was a little bit of water on it. But we're going to go ahead and get this pulled off, and then we'll start getting our pump shimmed and back in the ski, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. All right, so our mid shaft is just a few bolts here. I don't actually remember how I have this mounted. I think it's just screwed in on the bottom. I can just probably come in here, a little screwdriver, and get our bilge pump out and off to the side. Get that out of the way for us. This thing's doing great. I don't have too much junk in there, but I'm gonna leave our little screw in here so we don't lose it. Put our bilge pump off to the side. Let's get our mid shaft out. I'm just gonna use an impact, maybe. Okay, there's one. There's two. And there's three. And that is our mid shaft. Definitely got a little bit of water in there, but looks like we are sealed up nice and good. There's definitely water inside of our mid shaft housing though, so we are definitely going to want to kind of get that cleaned up a little bit. There's two O-rings in here that should realistically seal this thing off, but not a huge deal. We'll replace the O-rings. Everything's looking pretty good in here, so we're looking like we're in good shape. Let's hop to the back of the ski and let's start putting our pump in, and I'll show you exactly what we're doing here. So we're going to align our mid shaft. I've got our alignment tool here. This is, I believe, from High Speed Industries. This was about a $50 piece. It's literally just a piece of aluminum, I believe, that's been laser cut, and it's got the proper spacing for our mid shaft assembly. So the idea behind this is you bolt this up to where your mid shaft would sit, and then this center piece slides in and out, and this piece fits around your drive shaft. So you want it to sit in the middle here and be able to slide in and out off of your drive shaft without forcing it. So if it's out of alignment, you won't be able to slip this on, or it'll be really tight. So the idea is to shim your pump so that you can slide this in and out really easy. I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here, but let's first get our pump mocked up and in the ski, and then we'll start shimming it from there. So like I said here, this will sit down here. We are going to have to figure out which way it goes. I believe it goes this way, just like that. And I'm gonna bolt this in here, and then this will, our drive shaft will stick through there. This will slide on our drive shaft, and we want to be able to just push that in on our drive shaft and have it line up. So let me get this thing bolted in, and then we'll get our pump mounted alignment tool in here and our little gauge there. But let's go get the pump in the back. All right, so this is similar to our wave jammer with the design of the pump, although this one specifically is going to be our whole pump housing. So it's a little different, but the concept is still the same. We've got a drive shaft. The drive shaft drives the prop, and the prop produces thrust, and the thrust makes us go fast. So I'm just going to pull this last bolt out of here, and we're just going to get this pump in here and situated. Slide our drive shaft all the way up through our drive shaft tube. And our rear pump mounts here, we're going to set with our bolts. We've actually got some short. And you guys, you need to take your time with this. This is not something you really want to rush, just because proper alignment on your jet pump is going to be one of the most important things you do. If you end up with a lot of vibration, you can actually cause serious damage to your ski. This can lead to premature crank bearing failures, pump bearing failures, mid-shaft bearing failures. You just want to take your time with it and make sure that you do this properly. So we're going to lock these front ones down. Get these nice and tight. And our rear ones are actually gapped a pretty good amount. Pump bolts are tight. And now what we've got, this whole thing is actually pretty darn loose here. We got a lot of space. So let's take a look at where our pump is sitting at on the front. So, as I was showing you guys before here, we come in, this slides right over our drive shaft. It's close, actually. We need to space it down a little bit. I'm actually going to pull this back up flat now that we've got that mounted, just so that we know we're not just fighting gravity or something. But, let me grab you guys here. If you guys look down here, and you watch this as I put this in, you'll see where it's hitting. So it's hitting on the bottom. You can see there's a little bit of a gap on the top there. Not a lot of gap on the bottom. So we need the pump. Right now we're sitting like this, and our drive shaft is too low. So we need to gap the pump. We need to shim it to bring our drive shaft up just a little bit. So to do that, we want to, first off, there's already a gap here, so I'm gonna have to fill this gap with shims on both sides here, and then we'll add some additional shims to bring it down a little bit until we can get our little ring to slide on. So I'm gonna throw some shims in there, and then we'll double check the front. And you're pretty much going to go back and forth between adding shims, checking fitment, adding shims, checking fitment. And then when you get close, tighten those rear bolts down with the shim stack that you're using and check it again. And I usually check a couple times, usually 3 to 4 times, and I can usually get it to fit pretty good. This one we're definitely, I mean, we're not far off. We're not far off at all, so that's good. I can force it in. You know, you'll be able to force it in, but you want it to just slide right in so there's no resistance. It just fits right in the hole. So we're gonna add some shims on the back and then we'll reevaluate here. We are gonna grab our 2 rear pump bolts and I'm gonna try to get these in here, at least a few threads. Just like this. Get this one started up in here. Just like that. And we'll flip over to the other side. Okay. Now we're gonna come back in. Got a couple thicker shims I'm gonna throw in this one side, so we can try and get this to come down just a little bit. Just like that. And sometimes I'll use like a wrench to push them in and bottom them out. Just like that. And do the exact same thing on this other side, except this other side looks like we might need a couple more or a little bit thicker shim stack. So let's see if I can't get these ones in here. Yeah, those will do. We're gonna need a few additional. I'm actually gonna flip these over so that our thicker piece is under our pump foot, or whatever you want to call it, the little mounting arm. So I'm going to pull down on the pump a little bit, push these in here, maybe loosen this just a hair. Use my wrench to slide these in. And I usually just try and make sure these kind of sit flush and straight. It's my own personal thing. You don't really have to, as long as they're shimmed right. You're usually pretty good, but I figure might as well get them straight while we're in here. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So kind of snug these up a little bit, and let's go take a look at our front. So now that we've added a little bit of room, we've probably brought our drive shaft down or up a tiny bit. We're still hitting that bottom, so we're gonna need to gap it up just a little bit more. So we're gonna add a few more shims, probably some thin ones on each side. This is a slow process and you wanna take your time. So I'll usually loosen this up just a little bit. We'll start getting some thinner shims. Got a whole bunch of them here. So I'm going to throw this up here, just kind of pry down just a little bit so that I can fit another shim in here. Okay, I'm gonna come back up, screw this back in. I'm just gonna snug it up really quick. Same thing on this side. Actually, this side I'm gonna add one more. I have a feeling we're still not gonna be high enough. Come in, snug things up. I'm gonna go check up front again. Okay. All right. Let's go see what we've got up front now. Just goes in there. Hopefully we're a little bit closer. Look at that. All right, that's it. So let me get you guys a little closer so you can see what I'm talking about here. So now that we've got this shimmed, I've got everything snugged down. I'm just going to apply light pressure here, and it goes right in. So
we can literally just so it fits right in there.
So that's perfect. That's what we want. We want it to slide in with very little effort. We don't want it rubbing too much, catching on the top, catching on the bottom. That's actually really good. So I am going to Loctite everything on the back end. Actually, I'll probably tighten everything down on the back end, double check it, and then I'll go back and I'll Loctite them one by one. But that's gonna be how we're gonna shim it. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through. I'm not gonna make you guys watch me Loctiting the back end, but I'm gonna get everything in there, torque it all down. We'll come back to the front. We'll double check for a final time that everything is good to go, and then we'll start reassembly. So I've already Loctited, torqued all 4 of our rear pump bolts. So let's come back here and
let's double check our alignment on our drive shaft. Perfect. So we are still good.
So let's go ahead and let's jump back into our mid-shaft reinstallation here. I'm going to change out our O-rings on it, and then we will get our motor back in the ski and get this thing fired up and be done with this. This was actually a lot faster than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting this to be a multi-day thing, but it looks like we're going to get things finished up right here today, and we'll get this thing fired back up. Obviously, I still got to run my water lines and put my ride plate and stuff back on, but we're making some serious fast progress here. So let's get right into it. Let's get this thing closed out as soon as possible.
All right, so as I said, we're just going to come back in here. We're going to knock these back off now that we're fully aligned and locked down. Going to go ahead and throw our tool to the side, and we're gonna change out our O-rings on our mid shaft, and then I'll come back right to you guys. We'll get this thing installed. All right, so I've gone ahead, I've replaced our O-rings in here. I have also thrown some fresh grease in here just for our splines. We're gonna come back in, we're gonna lube up our splines on here too. You don't want those to go in dry, because
for those of you that just wanted to see how to shim your pump, what sort of alignment tools we're looking at here, I'll drop a link to an alignment tool in the description of this video if you guys want to go purchase it for yourselves. It's really going to be helpful, and it will be necessary if you guys are going to be doing builds on your skis. They are specific to different skis. So that other one that I have here, we've got our early style Yamaha SuperJet and our late style. The spacings are going to be slightly different. So each ski is going to have its own alignment tool. You can find these all over online, but like I said, I'll drop one in the description. But if you guys are just looking for pump shimming, that's going to be it for here. From here on, I'm just going to be installing the motor and whatnot. We're going to get this thing fired back up. So well, on that note, we have got the whole ski back together. It is the next day because I may or may not have forgot to record the actual startup of this thing. But now that we've got everything put back in here, I did swap us over to a lithium anti-gravity battery. So let's see if this thing's going to crank over for us. I also note I had to, because of the new nozzle, I was a little worried about this. The pickup down here where our cable attaches is in a slightly different position from stock. So with the no slop kit, I actually had to cut part of my steering cable down the threads so that I could get enough adjustment out of it so that when our bars are straight up here, well, think that's pretty much straight. Then our nozzle back here is also straight, because otherwise before the bars were straight and this was off to the side. So that's pretty much all I did off camera. I didn't really want to record that because I didn't realize it until pretty late and it was dark. But let's see if this thing's gonna fire off. Get our key up in here. Just like that. Okay, we've got a little bit of a high idle. Maybe we'll back this down a little bit. See if we can't get that to level out just a tiny bit. A little bit up. Maybe just a touch more. We don't have a ton of vibration in the motor either. I'm gonna bump that up just a tiny bit more. A lot of videos you'll see people start it up and the whole thing is shaking, but this thing actually runs quite well. Little bit of vibration, but nothing too crazy. I'll get one more angle here. We'll bump this up just a little bit more. So that is a pretty good sign that we do have everything aligned out really well. We also are not getting any noise from our jet pump. So I would consider that a success. And on that note, that is going to be the end of the video. That is exactly how you install and shim a pump, install a midshaft, and I'm actually quite surprised on how easily and quickly I was able to remove the entire motor and reinstall it. Altogether, this has been maybe a 3-hour ordeal, but now we are good to go. We shouldn't have the same issue with this reduction nozzle because it is cast aluminum. So that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys are doing your own pump work and need any additional clarification, drop it in the comment section below. Like I always say, I'm here to answer your guys' questions, help out the community, and help you guys get your jet skis on the water and having fun. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.